Hey YouTube, this is Southern Purple 1. I want to speak about the subject of the increased rhetoric on both sides of the aisle in the sense of the Ukrainian-Russia problem. The United States and Russia, we're just increasing our rhetoric. We're increasing our military equipment being sent to an area. And this is just the start. As we go along, Ukraine needs more and more sophisticated weapons, and we seem to be supplying them. Now, there was a rumor about F-16 fighters going there. Ukraine said they don't need them. But pretty soon, they will need aircraft. My worry is that the aircraft that we're going to provide them will be Western aircraft that they're not trained on. They don't have the ability to repair. So we'll become more involved. It would not surprise me if some of these F-16s or military planes are not being flown by Ukrainians, but they could actually be flown by U.S. pilots. It's hard to tell. There's no one going to be there to verify unless a pilot gets shot down and captured. So we'll see what happens. The lies on both sides are astonishing. My position is I don't think a World War III is worth it for Ukraine. I'm sorry to say that for the poor people in Ukraine. It's not worth going into a world war. Definitely Russia is very willing to use nuclear weapons to protect their country. No doubt about it. They feel like they are against the whole world. And as we see in Europe, more comments are saying that, yes, we're at war with Russia. I don't know if these comments were made specifically to mean a very hot war where we have active duty troops fighting, or if it's just a proxy war. But every proxy war eventually turns into a hot war where we'll be involved. I personally do not care to save Ukraine if it means nuclear weapons falling on the United States. To me, that is a huge risk. But today, the World Health Organization updated their list of medicines to have on hand for countries to deal with any radiological or nuclear emergency. And this, I think they're upping their ante too, because they can see the rhetoric increasing in the likelihood of nuclear war. Now, we're all definitely informed about the nuclear clock going from, I think, 100 seconds to 90 seconds. I covered it here. So that's definitely important. But the global health body issued guidance on how to survive a nuclear catastrophe in a new report today, warning against intentional use of radioactive material with malicious intent. The Kremlin accused NATO of a blatant provocation and threatening global catastrophe in response. The EU is not looking to escalate hostilities, but is just giving the possibility of saving lives and allowing Ukrainians to defend themselves from these barbaric acts. So they want more and more equipment. They said in a radiation emergency, people may be exposed to radiation at doses that range from, they conclude, life-threatening. Governments need to make treatments available for those in need fast. This list they came up with is supplies that would be needed if you are exposed to radiation. The recent definitely heightened tempo, heightened fear. Russia is definitely preparing. They're moving stuff around. They're testing weapon systems because their back is against the wall. They feel probably the world is against them. WHO also said that many countries, however, still lack the essential elements of preparation for a radiation emergency. So there's a lot of things that the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, that needs to be stockpiled, like PPE, trauma kits, different fluids, antibiotics, painkillers. As we see today, right now, it's hard to get antibiotics of some kind inside the United States. So there's a huge shortage of all this stuff right now. You throw a world war in here, it's going to be catastrophic. As I studied this, I don't think it's what your standing army is. I think it's what's behind the standing army. What is your manufacturing base? What is your logistical base? Do you have the raw materials, the iron, everything you're going to need to produce more weapon systems, more tanks, more planes. During World War II, we were able to increase our wartime footing and produce what the world needed for the Allies. Today, we couldn't do that. So if we don't win immediately, we would be cut off from supplies, and our supplies come from China, things that we need. So without this, catastrophic, we would lose. If we can't win within the first 48 hours, 96 hours, we're in trouble. Then we'd go into a time period where we would expend a lot of stuff. Yes, the United States has a huge stockpile, but when you're fighting a world war on many fronts, that will be decimated. You will use it up. With the Ukrainian crisis right now going on, we have drained our war stocks. Somebody say, well, if we're going to fight China, we don't need 155 artillery rounds. Eventually, we will have armies in contact on the ground somewhere in the world, and you will need 155s. You will be using them up at a rate unseen since World War II days. So, I'm saying this is everything is moving. When the World Health Organization says, hey, countries need to prepare, you need to take that as not a, oh my, world's ending, what am I going to do? And go into a panic. Or you don't need to put your head in the sand and say, there's nothing I can do, I'm going to die. There's things you can do, and that's simple prepping. When you prep for any emergency. I prep for a tornado, I prep for an earthquake, I prep for, an ice storm that knocks out my power. I prep for, losing a job. You prep for anything that could happen, up to an EMP, up to nuclear warfare. I'm not going to just roll over and say I can't survive it. Yes, it's going to be terrible, but my grandchildren do not care how bad it's going to be. They're going to look at me and say, what are we going to do? What's going on? How can we stay safe? Why are we doing this? They're going to have a lot of questions. Why do we have to go into an underground shelter? So right now, I urge you just to prepare at a very basic level. If you're not doing anything, get some food, get some water, get an ability to have some power to keep whatever you need running, especially life-saving medical equipment. If you're on like oxygen 24 hours a day, a lot of people are. I talk to them. They rely on machines. Without power, they're going to be in trouble. Without solar, they'll definitely be in trouble. Some say they have a limited amount of oxygen tanks at their house. In a crisis, they're not going to be able to get filled up. So prepare yourself for those situations. If you need medicine and you rely on it, try to get as much as you can stockpiled. But at the end of the day, you do the best you can, and then you don't worry about it. People say, Dave, how can you live like that? You're always on edge. I am not on edge at all. The limited amount of time you see me on YouTube, yes, I'm concerned for you guys. That's why I'm putting information out here. I don't live on the edge. I am, first of all, I am prayed up. I'm mentally prepared. I'm definitely prepared spiritually. If I pass away today, I know where I will be instantaneously. I have the insurance in my heart that if I pass away right now, I will be in heaven. That assurance is what kept me going in the military. I knew without a doubt if I was killed in combat, I know where I'd be. Now, was I fearful for my family? Yes, that's the biggest problem. It's like, uh-oh, if I'm gone, I'll be in a better place, but what will happen to my family? So that's why you prepare and put everything into prepping and making sure that your family will be able to take care of themselves if you're not available. So I hope you're prepping. Things are heating up in the world. Don't be scared. Pray about it and prepare. Thanks for watching.